everyone, and welcome to Water for Seeds. I am Mia Durr, and I want to welcome you today with our special guest, Miss Natalia McNeil. But before we get into um, this interview with our guest, Miss McNeil, I wanted to welcome you to Water for Seeds and just give you a little bit of our background. Water for Seeds is a resource center and a guide for parents to assist in both the literacy and overall in the improvement in the overall quality of life of children in the United States. So we intend to equip each parent with the tools and resources that they need to assist their children on their learning journey. So whether they have issues with in-school issues with social, whether it be social self-esteem or issues with literacy regarding reading, math, or writing, we are the center and the place for you. So today's guest, we're going to be focusing on more mental and emotional health. So that's one of the things that we notice is affecting literacy. So here at Water for Seeds, we want to address um, many issues that affect literacy. So why is it that children struggle in school? What issues are preventing or prohibiting them on their path to success and their path to learning? So today's guest, again, once again, is Miss McNeil. She is a social worker. She has a background in social work, and she has been licensed in the state of Maryland and DC, which is the District of Columbia. So I'm going to allow Miss McNeil to welcome herself and tell us a little bit more about her. So
Hello,
welcome.
everyone. I'm Miss McNeil. So I have over 10 years experience as a social worker. I have my bachelor's degree from Temple University, my master's degree from Wilder University. Um, I am a licensed graduate social worker in Washington, D.C. and Maryland. So I have a lot of experience working with children in child welfare. I've also worked with adults in current addiction and mental health. I also have a background in like crisis mobile, as well as school social work as well.
Okay, awesome. So one other side note, if you cannot, if it's not obvious enough, Miss McNeil is my sister. So we both were born and raised in Philadelphia. So that's where our careers began. But yeah, I wanted to welcome her. She has been working in social work for many years, and I know that she has a lot of expertise working with children in particular. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the interview. Thank you for giving us that background. So I'm going to start with the first question, which is, can you tell us what behavioral patterns you're seeing in children that may be concerning to you in terms of like, in school, particularly that elementary through middle school age? What issues or behavioral patterns of concern are you seeing now?
Okay, so I currently work in an environment with high crime, high trauma, and a lot of like poverty stricken, a lot of children that has like food deserts, so they're not getting a lot of food. Um, Security in terms of their, the only thing that's available to them are like corner stores with the prices are really inflated and it's like a bunch of chips, low calorie, doesn't have any real nutritional value. So what I've been noticing in the school system is that children are being dysregulated, meaning that they aren't able to self-soothe. They have concerns with conflict resolution. They have issues with just overall managing their behaviors within themselves. So a lot of kids don't really understand as they're getting older, their minds are not matching up to their bodies. So a lot of kids are like developing kind of early, and there's like different like peer interactions, and they're getting like um, concerns with image, self-image, self-esteem, self-confidence. So they're struggling a lot with that. If you talk about the childhood stages, is that some of the kids are not meeting their childhood stages within the first 5 years, as well as when they become socialized in the school system. So a lot of the children, they have issues with regulating their behaviors, have issue with anger management, conflict resolution, peer pressure, and self-esteem issues. So a lot of kids don't really know how to communicate with with their peers, as well as their teachers and school admin. So we're dealing with a lot of children that just need help with how to communicate their need and not, have be easily frustrated, get into temper tantrums, and like sometimes they become destructive, like verbally distracting and physically distracting within the classroom, where it impacts the entire classroom from learning. So because a teacher has to focus on this maybe one or two children in the classroom, it takes away from the learning environment. And a lot of kids will start to mimic those behaviors. If behaviors are not addressed within the classroom, the kids will start to believe like, well, if he or she can act like that, I can act like that as well. And it causes like a domino effect in terms of how children react to one another. And and because a lot of them want to feel accepted, so they see their other peers acting the same way. So you see a lot of dysregulated behaviors. You see a lot of teachers get becoming easily frustrated with the behaviors because they aren't unable to teach.
Okay. So this is just a piggyback. I know we only have mainly about 4 questions, but I just wanted to piggyback on, can you give the audience a real life example of how you help them to calm down? Like once they come to you, for instance, if they are for instance, showing emotional dysregulation in the classroom, and it's becoming such a disruption that the teacher has now said, hey, you need to go to the counselor's office, you need to go to the social worker, because I can't continue to teach while you're in the classroom because you're now distracting the other students. So can you give us an example of, once the student comes to you, what type of techniques or tools do you do to assist them? And then that's going to lead into our question about what tools can the parents use at home. So you can tell us what you do. You can give 1 or 2 examples that you like, regarding the concerns that you previously stated, and just show us, like, or just tell us how you're able to, help them kind of calm down when they are reaching that state of dysregulation.
So most likely when children are in that heightened state of frustration and anger, there we have like a system that the called Slack, that the teachers will check into and will say such and such child is just not feeling very well. Their emotions are very heightened. Or sometimes the student would just outright tell the teacher, I'm not feeling good. They're upset or something like that. So they will have the child come to me. They will escort the child to my office, or sometimes I will go to the classroom and just pull the child out the classroom and just ask them they're willing to speak with me. And then I will bring them back to my environment, which is more of a soothing environment with a lot of aromatherapy, and make it a safe environment for they can be able to safely, talk about whatever's going on with them. So most likely, I sit with them. That some of them don't like to engage, so I try to get them to use their words. Like, I know you're having this feeling in your body, but what are your words express? What are the words that you can use to express the current feeling that you're having right now? So a lot of the children, they will express that I'm mad because something had happened at home. I'm mad that my peer is not talking to me, or I'm just not feeling like myself today. So kids start to notice within their bodies, like they're getting overly anxious. They feel like, they're fidgeting and stuff like that. So when they get to my room, I have like stress balls. I have a
Mm.
lot of fidget toys. I have like, I will play like meditation music in the background to get them to self-soothe. So we'll do like something called 4 square breathing, where we'll breathe around the 4 corners of a square, just to get them to calm down, because it is difficult to talk to children when they're that heightened state and their heart rate is very elevated. So we try to get them to calm down first before we have a conversation, because it's easier to talk to them when they're not in that heightened state. So with that in mind, we use a lot of information, some tools offline called Teacher Pay Teacher. They have a lot of tools for social emotional regulation. So We do like little worksheets, make it age appropriate for the child. So depending on the age of the child, we'll do like maybe like in the Disney movie Inside Out. We'll look at that and describe what the feelings are so they'll know what those feelings look like. Because sometimes kids just don't know what that feeling is and they just need someone just to guide and need a lot of visual because some kids are very visual.
Mm.
Um, so with that, they will use their words and then whatever the target behavior is or whatever their concern is, that's what we talk about. So if it's like peer relations, and sometimes it's just that my peer wouldn't share something with me, like a pencil or pen, or my peer just doesn't want to talk to me. We're not acting like friends like we used to. So in my office, I teach what it is like to be a friend, what friends look like. Sometimes I'll put on a video because we have like a projector in our office. So I would, throw a video to our projector and let them see different ways and how to express themselves. Once they do that, I do like sometimes we do timers. They'll be in my classroom no more than like 10, 15 minutes, depending on the behaviors. And once we do the timer, we'll talk about, go through like using a lot of art therapy,
Okay.
coloring, drawing, and helping them to define their body and what their body is feeling in that very time, and just getting them to a baseline or like a state of calmness so they can be able to feel better to go back to classroom. And if the behaviors continue, that's where, a lot more services need to be um, a lot more needs to be done or evaluated for the child.
Got you. Great. All right. That sounds good. It's definitely great to hear that there's so many different steps and there's so many different ways to assist children in that, whether it be art or the music. I love the fact that y'all incorporate music. I think that's great. Um, that's something I do with my daughter too, in terms of, especially when we're doing reading or emotional dysregulation. If she's like upset about something, we'll normally put on the music and play the book. I mean, let her read while she's calming down. So that's good to hear. So just to follow up, what can parents do at home? So what are some tips for parents based on what you see in your experience? What can parents start to do at home to help to balance and center children so that they can practice those things at home so that by the time they get to school, they're more clear-headed and more prepared to learn?
So a lot can occur with like positive communication. Like when they come home from school, like, I know parents are overwhelmed. We have single working families, we have double income families and things like that. And it's just hard to like do a lot within this current climate that we're in right now. But I think like 5 to 10 minutes just asking your child whether it's on the way home or when you at the dinner table. And sometimes some families don't have a dinner table. So just having that positive communication. How are you doing? How were things? Did you meet anybody? Did you have any friends today? How was school? Um, what did you learn today? All those things like that can help you just to positive communication with the child, because I think when you have those communications, positive communication with the kids, they can, use that same communication within the school. And when kids learn how to communicate better from home, they can there can be transferable school skills within the classroom. So just recognizing signs when kids are elevated. And I know kids are kids sometimes where they laughing and joking and they playing around. But sometimes it just helps just sometimes just to set boundaries at that time. Let's be serious right now and let's talk about what you're feeling right now, and recognizing like that 5, 10 minutes is like crucial for children just to be able to have a conversation with their parents and just to see how things are going. Um, just learning using like nonviolent communication, meaning that no cussing, not raising your voice, and things like that, because kids can really feel the emotion behind the way you're talking. A lot of positive self reflection, and just when kids struggle with identity, like I don't think I'm cute enough, or I don't think, I'm just struggling because I don't look like everybody else. So just, invoking a lot of positive self-reflection, just reminding them how beautiful and different they are. Um, Doing a lot of problem solving techniques is like teaching children how to solve a problem. Like if they have like issues with their peers, it's like just talk it out and find out why your peer is acting the way you do. and just sometimes role modeling positive communication, role modeling positive behaviors, so kids will learn how to communicate and allow and know how to interact with their peers, other adults. Having definitely having boundaries. I know, like I teach children that they come from a lot of different backgrounds and culture, and they have a lot of home rules, and some of the home rules could be like, if someone hits you, hit them back, things like that. And which is fine for children to defend themselves against, like, people harming them and things like that. But they also have to realize that there are school policies that they have to follow. So understand, like, yes, protect yourself in the school and things like that, and invoke a lot of your culture and your home values, and but just let them know, like, if there is a problem, please let me know, please tell the teacher and things like that. And if they feel like things are not going the way they do, that's why we elevate, and there's a lot of services in place and a lot of things that parents can do to advocate for their child in the home. I also suggest a lot of mindfulness. I know a lot of people don't really feel like they have time for that, but there's a lot of YouTube videos between like 3 to 5 minutes that they can do with their child, they can do with their child to show them how to self-regulate their behaviors and just calm and just think before they do a lot of their negative actions and behaviors in school and stuff.
Okay, good. And then I'll have, once we're done with the video, you can share some of the links that you have, and then I'll share that with the audience. I'll share that on the websites so that if there's anything that they can look up for themselves while they're home and utilize at home, we'll share those links with them and those sources with them. Okay, so that was the primary basis of what I wanted to establish in terms of what parents needed to know. And thank you for giving that background. I wanted to conclude with, I mean, this is just a short video, so a lot of these videos will be about this time frame, depending on the depth of how much each guest would like to share. But I wanted to conclude with what resources can can we use within the school or within our local community? So, for instance, who should we be reaching out to? Who do they need to, who do people, I'm sorry, who do parents need to reach out to when they are having issues with having behavioral issues or concerns with their child? So who they reach out to and who they talk to within their community.
Okay, so when you start noticing certain signs with your children, because children, they will show these signs, and then it's just like sometimes children don't show it at home, but they may show it at school. So a lot of it is like just children may have like adjustment issues with going to the school system, and it's a different environment, and they in and around different people from different culture, different backgrounds, and that behave very differently. So sometimes it's like when you see that there's a lot of calls coming home, a lot of emails, a lot of letters coming home addressing the child's behavior, you can just, as a parent, just ask for, like, maybe I need to contact the school, talk to the school counselor, and see what resources are available. Because within every school system, no matter where you are at in the United States, there is an advocate that you can definitely talk to. You can definitely talk to the principal, talk to the student support team, and they're the people that can actually be like, "Hey, we need to start having this meeting." They can arrange for a meeting, and then the meeting starts as just like, what are the needs, and what are the needs, and what can we do to help this child much better? Like, what is the teacher observing? What is the social worker observing? What is the school overall is observing with dealing with a particular child with a lot of behavior concerns? It's like, what are exactly those behaviors? Can it be identified? And if there's a need, then from there, the next step will be like having the team collect data. So that data from the school social worker can be sitting in the classroom doing timed observation just to see how the child interacts with the teacher and the classroom setting overall. We have school psychologists. The school psychologist can maybe like meet with the child and determine from a clinical perspective what exactly from their assessment tools can they find out that may be troubling the child. Um, what are the exact needs? What exactly are they doing? Are they real destructive? Are they verbally distracting? Are they physically distracting? Like, what are they doing in order to identify certain behaviors that the child is having in the school. So with the child psychologist, they're more so will look at any diagnostic behaviors that they can see that the child may be experiencing. And they also do parent interviews as well. That what has the parents noticed? What is a good day for the child? What happens when they become disciplined, or when you give them consequences like, hey, go to your room. How do they react to those types of consequences? And then from there, I mean, it's a very serious of meetings that occur just to make a true determination and eligibility for if the child needs any service within the school. So if a child becomes eligible, then there are behavioral services that go into place, that the team as a whole can try to help support the child in the classroom. So sometimes it can be like the school social worker can pull the child out, do a lot of social behavior, emotional techniques and skills, and just do a lot of individual counseling with the child within the school system. Um, and also, and then from there, they will go into the classroom just to see how the child is utilizing some of the tools and the calming skills and the breathing skills, or whatever has been identified to help the child in the classroom to do much better. Because sometimes what could be an issue is like maybe their academics is suffering, or maybe the behavior is causing them not to want to do any of their academics, or vice versa. So that's where a lot of the team would do a lot of data collecting just to find out how we can best help the child. And then, like I said, it's different tools that we use, and it's different interventions based on the need. Like if the child is having no issues with their academics, but their behavior is just like um, really, overwhelming for them in the school, then there's another, like a behavior plan that can go into place to see how we can address the behaviors, putting in trackers in place to reward, do a lot of positive reinforcement and see what we can do to try to help the child in the school. So that's some of the things that the parent can do if they notice their child has a lot of overwhelming behaviors that the parent just can't understand, or the school needs help understanding, try to help the child much better. Um, just learning to advocate for your child is the best tool to know what is going on. And sometimes parents can, not really knowing that they're sometimes putting some of their issues or concerns or their stress onto their child. And some kids are very relative, and some of them are like they react to how we as parents react to certain situations, stuff like that. So sometimes that gets transferred in how our kids view us and view how they communicate with others. um, Knowing who and what is important within your school, all the resources, and just talking to the school principal, because they're very, hopefully they're well um, knowledgeable about their services in place. And then if not, there's a lot of outside services, a lot of community-based supports that you can start asking and just researching, like, what can I do to help my child to identify their needs, and just to help them to be more um, in terms of like, more better suitable for the classroom. Because sometimes, kids just struggle. We just don't know why they're struggling. And then we just need to find what it is to help them not sometimes transfer those skills into as an adult. So there's a lot of local and state resources, like through their health insurance. So you have private health insurance, sometimes just call in the back of the card for the behavioral health department. Or if you have Medicaid, uh, just contacting them. They have like a lot of resources within your community, knowing how to for like child behavioral services and things like that.
Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, so I that really conclude all of our questions. You gave us a wealth of information, so thank you for that feedback. I'm going to once again, once I'll link up with you after the video, you can share the links and resources that you have, and I'll share that to the website for the audience. And for the audience, I just want to just reiterate the fact that when it comes to literacy for children, the issues that affect their reading, writing, and their math abilities may not always just be due to simple, inadequacy in terms of their competency, their ability to learn. It may just be other issues that are affecting their learning. So that's the reason why I wanted to really take this multi-point solutions approach, where we look at all the factors that are affecting literacy so that we can assist the child in their learning and development. So I want to thank Ms. McNeil for your time today. Thank you for your time today. And we will see you all soon. Continue to check out our websites, follow us on Patreon. We are building our Facebook page, so join us on Facebook and Instagram and all the links that are provided in the video. And we will see you next time. Again, I'm Mia Durr with Water for Seeds. Thank you.